lot of the young girls and guys today. As I got older, I started to realize, like, it's really sad how a lot of young guys have had, like, a lack thereof experiences with women. It's really sad, and it's not just like the MGTOW red pill, you know what I mean? It's really sad because what's cool and what's the standard in society, you know what I mean? Like the really good qualities that would actually make for a good person are actually discarded. And so anyway, it's unfortunate, but I was sitting here thinking about young girls and just how I just feel so sorry for so many of the young women today. Like we just live in a time where so many young girls just don't even have like nobody to tell them nothing. I never, I was very blessed. My mother was very clean, right? My mother was very clean. My mom always went to work, and she was very clean. And I didn't even know how there are just so many women who just don't have good hygiene. There are so many women who just never really had anybody tell them anything. They get with these guys who can't do anything for them, can't lead them nowhere, can't tell them nothing because they don't know. And and this isn't judgment. It's just really sad to see because the thing is, as much as we like to talk about, because when we have these conversations, I always tell people, the people who need to have these conversations, especially when it comes to online, they're not online. This video may not even reach them. You know what I mean? Like, and it's really unfortunate, but that's the type of society that we live in. So the people who need to hear it generally, they can't hear it, right? They're muffled in and distracted by all the noise from people who don't care about them. And I tell people this all the time, like, man, when it comes to these rappers and stuff, they don't care nothing about us. Okay? Y'all have to stop this. Like these athletes, these entertainers, they don't care nothing about you. They are out for themselves. They are looking to be compensated for themselves. And it's not white supremacy, it's not a conspiracy. No, they are black and they don't care about you. Okay? And to just kind of see how it trickles down and really does have such a significant impact on our community. I talked about this in the last video, but I will never really understand why we advocate on behalf of like rap music. Like I just think about how so much of our funding goes into support of these business owners and things like that. And so it's unfortunate because you want to support them. You want to be like, oh, okay, we can look at it from a point of view where it's like, okay, they're in business, they may be successful. Look at the brand they built, right? I did a video talking about that, but it's like when you just see the impact and how it really does impact the lives of so many people today, it's crazy. There are so many mothers who are just so negligent. Either distracted by the media, distracted by the noise. Um, you know, and like I said, I couldn't go live in the other one, but even just like with the weed smoke, like it's so unfortunate because the whole smoking weed thing. As someone who used to actually smoke weed, it's crazy, right? Yeah, I did. I smoked weed. I had parents who smoked, so I think just growing up in that type of environment, it's so easy to find yourself in that space, and you have friends who smoke. And when you're young, you're not really the people around you influence you a lot, right? You're young, um you don't really have the strength, right, to be like, oh, I'm not gonna do certain things. I mean, you may, right? There were certain things people did I didn't do, but those environmental factors play such a huge role, and we never really realized that, right? Like kids do what you do, period. So what made me stop smoking? At the time, I was dating this guy. He was going to school to be a doctor, and that just pretty much did it for me. But and I think even looking back, I just feel like everything happens for a reason. But it really was distasteful, and I think even to this day, it's distasteful as women. Like, why are you smoking a blunt? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so ugly. So I just thank God, for pulling me out of that. Because I was in that phase. But it's sad because I still have girlfriends who are still in that phase. And it's like, does this really make sense? And so it's just sad because you just have a lot of young kids today and there's really nowhere for them to go. There's no type of productivity. And then, what's unfortunate, you have a lot of people who will start programs and who will, give back to their communities, but they don't have the wisdom. You know what I mean? They don't have the wisdom. So the way they live their lives and, it's just still just like being a very poor role model, because at the end of the day, we can talk all day, but people are going to do what it's about your action. I think being someone who's called to being a mentor, like that's literally my purpose. I've always carried that weight on me ever since I was a young girl, right? Like being the eldest of six, I've always had the weight of the world on my shoulders. I've always just wanted to be a good role model, carry the pressures of certain things, and just good grades, everything. I've always wanted to be that, and so I think that it was just very purposeful for me, and not just what I was cultivated to do. Like I don't look at it like a burden. Like I want to rise to the occasion. I don't look at it like, oh, these young girls ain't my daughters. They not my responsibility. Why they looking up to me? I don't look at it like that because I know the need. And again, I'm called for it. But yeah, a lot of the people that we support, y'all, like it's not a conspiracy. It's not white supremacy. Nobody's being roped in to do anything. No, these are people who are just, they genuinely don't care nothing about you. And we have to kind of break out of that mold as black people. Like, you have to understand that, just because somebody's black doesn't mean they're good. Just because somebody making money doesn't mean that that's a representation of you and your possibilities for success. So it's just getting to a point where today it's just really, really bad. Like, seeing young girls that I know who, just don't even know what they're capable of, just go down these really, really dark paths. And, you talk about sleeping with, different people, and just, wearing different clothes and being out here in the streets, like, girl, that stuff will leave you getting pimped out. Okay? Like, it's a different time that we're living in, and it's so crazy being, covered by the blood of Jesus, because I'm telling you right now, this is a very dark world. Like, this is nothing to play with. Like, yes, there are people who are literally sexual. Like, this is a really dark world, and it's crazy because I think we're just so distracted. And living in our country, I don't think I have anybody who's not from America on here, but living in our country, we have a lot of conveniences. We have a lot of conveniences. We have a lot of distractions. So we don't really get to deal with the ugliness. And that's kind of like the premise of America, right? It's always kind of been this like bloodshed, just really, really gruesome, and just really, really grotesque history about it. And we just cover it up with like paint, and we just make it look beautiful. That's America, like, and that's behind every industry. So that's another thing I would say to you guys. Give your life to Christ. Give your life to Christ. And when I say that, people always wonder, what does that mean? What does that look like? Being a believer is all about your character. It's about your conduct. It's about the way in which you live your life. It's about, the way you think. It's all of those things. I think sometimes we think it's like, oh, I give my life to Christ, I just go sit in the church all day. No, it's like really being somebody who is morally upright. You know what I mean? You do the right thing. You do the hard things. You have a heart of, service for other people. Like, that's really what it's about. Like, it's really about the heart. It's really about your character. And so that's what I mean when I say give your life to Christ. Like, really, really get to a place where it's like you purge yourself of certain things, because I don't know, I just don't really think you'll ever really be enough for the world. And, I was talking to my sister about this the other day. I'm like, the reality is that it's a dog eat world, period. Like, people aren't good. Like, I think that, we like to think, that's why too, like, I have shared my testimony about being into like meditation and stuff like that, but all that stuff is such a lie. You can't practice that here in American society. You shouldn't be practicing it at all. If you're a believer, another conversation for another day. But you can't practice that stuff in America, because people don't abide by that. You walking around here thinking everybody is good to you, you're gonna find yourself really messed up. So you can't think that everything is in your control. You can't have the mentality to say, oh, if I think such certain things, or if I put it out there, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, you can't think like that, because that's not wise, and that's just not the way we roll in American society. Like, you will get chewed up and spit out. So yeah, but anyway, it's just a really sad thing to see. And then I think, me being a mentor working with young women, it's also very unfortunate that, young women aren't really taught how to respect their elders. I'm even kind of noticing this just with from young girls, like dealing with the smart mouths and, certain things like that, but also just kind of dealing with young kids in general. Like, it just seems like it's very rare now. Like, there's really no, and to me, the way I look at it is this. If you're kidding me, it's like, what are you teaching them? right? Because this is not a matter of, oh, little girls have smart mouths. No, not everybody's child is like that, and that's just very distasteful. So it's just really unfortunate, the things that we don't teach our kids. And I'm gonna write a column about this, but I can't wait to get into how some people will go so far on the religious spectrum, and sometimes that's due to a lack of education, just not really knowing how to show up in the world and how to conduct yourself in the world, you know what I mean, and how to, be a believer in that and be wise, right? The Bible tells us to be wise as a serpent, but innocent as a dove. And a lot of people don't really know how to do that, so sometimes they'll just kind of lean onto religion and not really teach or not really know anything, not really have any life experience, not really have any street smarts and things like that. And that's not the way to live either. But yeah, so I don't know, you guys. This is something that, it's just my purpose, my heart towards young women. It's just sad to see. Like, I just really hate to see it. It's just honestly just the things that just go on, the things that are now accepted and acceptable, and just all of it. Like, it's not just, oh, this is just the media, or oh, this is just, this one celebrity, or oh, this is just this one outfit, or all girls do this. Like, no, like, it's really bad out here. Like, when you seeing this stuff, like when you seeing it show up in your real life, like, then you can really have a say so. Like, people don't, people say like, oh, it's just a rap, or oh, it's just the influencers or whatever. But it's like, y'all not really living it. And to be honest, it's the truth, because most black people and most people who advocate for rap culture and be like, oh, people are being anti-black or whatever the case may be, they actually don't live in the ghetto. You know what I mean? They don't live in the ghetto. They don't live in these communities. They don't work in these communities. So it's like you're just really talking out the side of your neck. And it's unfortunate, because a lot of times these people be having a platform. But I don't know. I just think it's really unfortunate. I feel like being someone who was kind of in the activism space, and will always kind of be that. I'll always do that representation for Black people, giving a voice to the voiceless. But you know, it's really one of those things. It's so tricky, because I think even in that, like, if you are someone who is in the work of social justice, you have to be so mindful, that you don't consume certain ideologies and certain attitudes and certain behaviors and even mannerisms. Like, a lot of times that the things that we call one another out on, or the things that we're called out on, so much of that stuff just be like stereotypical stuff. And it's like, why are you seeking to, imitate that? Like, who are you as a person? Like, okay, yeah, you're Black, but do you really wear your hair like that? Or do you really, you know what I mean? And it's not to say that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing when it's, it shouldn't matter. But I'm saying that, like, at the end of the day, it's maybe the hair was a bad example. That was a bad example. Let me dial it back. It's not hair. It's just certain things. I don't say conduct. I'm just gonna say conduct. I think conduct is actually a better example. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a little sleepy, but I'm gonna write a wrap up. But anyway, I don't know. I just think that we're just, I don't know, and we have to be so careful with that too. When we teach young kids about social activism, because you don't want them to lean so far into that, and they start to perpetuate certain mindsets and things like that can really hinder them in life. Like, I would say, what I would think everybody would want for out is just like, peace and prosperity. You know what I mean? Like, peace and prosperity, good health, So, I don't know. It just, I guess the premise of this video is just to say, like, miseducation is so crazy. Like, it's just so crazy. And it's really sad. Really sad how a lot of people, how a lot of people grow up without parents, how a lot of people grow up without education, and I always tell you guys this, y'all know, education is not just a college degree, but just literally grow up and don't know anything. Like, it blows my mind. I think I gotta get off here, but it blows my mind to just think about how many people were not raised. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, do you know how many people were not raised? Like, it honestly will blow your mind when you realize, like, there are so many adults today who were never raised. And I'm not talking about, tragic stories like foster home. I'm talking, no, they had parents at home, but just never taught them anything. Like, daddy don't know nothing, mama don't know nothing, like, and it just, like, just become victims to whatever stereotype, whatever's on the media, whatever's on the news, trying to find identity. Like, it's just, so that's the world that we live in, and those are the things that really perpetuate our communities. So I don't know, you guys. Like, it's such a devilish thing, honestly. Like, our distractions and our entertainment, because it just pulls us in to the point where we can't even focus and actually really, you know, give attention to the things that really matter. Like, you can't possibly be like, okay, we have to get a plan together to strategize to boycott entertainment, right? We can't possibly call these, because it's like you get on Instagram and boom, there's the song and there's a cool dance to it, and you're like, okay, well, I'm streaming it, I can't, you know what I mean? So it's such a sinister thing, but I just always wonder, what does the future hold, right? How many more, like, 'cause right now, I don't know where y'all live, but yeah, the housing developers, they're buying them out, right? So there's no longer like a housing lottery for low income. So with that being said, you're not going to be able to work at McDonald's and pay rent. Like, that's not going to be a thing. And that's not to say that all black people are relegated to, low paying jobs, but it's just more so just to say that we have to be very mindful, because the things that were acceptable are no longer acceptable. Now, if you're a believer, that's another thing too. I battle with this, because I'm a believer, right? I believe in God, like, I believe in Jesus Christ. So my household is blessed. You know what I mean? But it's like, I feel the need to speak out about certain things, because it's like, I just want people to be aware of what's coming. Like, the way you live your life is not going to be how you're going to live it. You're going to be able to live it in the next couple of years. Like, there's not about, and I'm not talking like 10 years. I'm talking the next 3 to 5. So, like, radically. You know what I mean? Like, radically. Like, it's not about to be this thing where it's like, oh, you can just, work a minimum wage job, or, like, that type of, and be able to afford rent. Like, you're not going to be able to do that. You know what I mean? And so you're going to need skill. You're going to need, like, you're going to need some type of education. You're going to need something so that you can be able to generate an income for yourself. And I just don't know where we are in this process. And I just think that, with the perpetual ignorance and lack of knowledge and the lack of vision for our households, whatever, it's just like, I just don't really know where we're going to be, Like, I'm not someone who is negative. I'm just being truthful and being honest. Like, when you think about the waves of black people who are in ghettos, who are, in certain environments and things like that, like, this stuck because they don't know how to get out of this situation. Like, it's not even a matter of, like, and it's just like, that's where our majority is, right? Our majority is not the athletes, right? I think this is unfortunate, because it's not only black people, but really anybody, honestly. I think everybody in American society, right? I'm going to say this. Everybody in American society has a certain depiction of the African American, okay? They have a certain depiction of the black. And I know some people, we're kind of like on the fence with that. I don't know if we're saying black. I don't know if we're saying African American. But on the fence with that. And, people don't realize it, but it's like, the way we are depicted is that, oh, if this influencer is making money, I can go and make money. See, all black people can do it. And it's like, no. When you pull up to the ghettos, that's where all the black people are. Like, that's the majority. It's not the athletes on the football field. Like, the people that y'all see in the media, the people that, are successful influencers, baby, they are the 1%. The majority of us are right in the, like, so it's just like, you have to understand that we're not having, the progress is false. It's a myth. It's not real. It's not real. Like, it's not real. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to really, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to think more into that. But it's just, just me sharing some of my thoughts. Because I just don't think it's looking good, and I just think that when you have years of generations who just don't have education, it's crazy. And, yeah, I mean, I'm 100% with that. Like, okay, yes, black people in this country, y'all, we were literally deprived of the ability to read. Yes, that really was a thing. But it's just like, that should create hunger in you to want to read. So, I don't know. I'll end with this. I think that at the end of the day, I'll say, because I kind of talked about this in, like, one video before, but I, like, never really put it up, I don't think. But y'all, everybody has to learn about black history. Everybody has to learn about all the history in American society, because you have to understand that we've all been misled. Okay. White people have been misled, right? Like it's not normal for you to just hate somebody because of the color of their skin. It's not normal for you to be overreactive towards a person because of the way that they look. Like we all gotta grow. And we've all been lied to, right? That's not just black people who are miseducated. I mean, the American institution in itself is miseducation. So, we all have that piece. So we all have to grow. But I'll just, I'll definitely just end by saying, like, you really gotta believe in something. You really gotta get right with God and be like a part of a community. Because I don't really know. Like God does things in spite of things. Like God does things in spite of you being, said minority, right? In spite of you being uneducated. Like God will still do it for you. Like, you know what I mean? That's why it's like I believe in that. And so, don't play with that. You know what I mean? The God is definitely real. Like that's what's actually gonna be the transforming thing in your life. If you are someone, because I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. And I guess too, what I was saying, because I said I was going to close, but now I'm really going to close. But I just want to say that I'm at this point in my life where, you know, I share the things that I know, but I'm someone who I genuinely don't care what people do with their lives. Like I'm about, mentorship and things like that. But I just like me personally, I've got to this place in my life where one, I don't really care about other people's opinions and what the people got to say about me. Actually, I don't even want other people's opinion. But I'm also at this point in my life where, oh, look, you want to turn around? I'm also at this point in my life too, where it's just like I don't really care for other people's opinion, and I honestly don't even really care to give my opinion on certain things. One thing I've learned as I've gotten older is like at the end of the day, when you become an adult, that's why it's like I have to kind of tailor the message sometimes. I'm still learning, like, being in my ministry, i.e., my, mentorship, and then coming on Instagram, or coming on here and like talking to adults. I have to kind of tailor the message sometimes because one thing about it, y'all gonna do what y'all want to do. Like, I feel like as I've, like, it clicks for me, you just kind of get to this point where it's just like, honestly, when you're grown, like when it's an adult, I don't really care how you live your life. Like to be honest, I don't really care how you live your life. Like I care about children, but like grown people, sweetie, this is your life. These are your choices. Like you do what you want to do. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm kind of getting to that point too, because I think being someone who, I love educating people, sometimes that can come off like advice or like opinion, type of content, and I really don't want to give that because honestly, at the end of the day, I'm here to testify. I'm here to share the things that I know, but like, it's your life and how you live it. I don't care. I see so many people debating things with people, like, debating their opinions, debating, their, whatever. And it's just like, bro, who cares? Like, you're grown. Live your life. If you want to live your life, if you want to go climb to Mount Everest every Sunday and, hound to the moon, girl, I don't care. Like, I don't care. That's your life. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to, however you want to raise your kids, how you want to raise your kids. Like, I don't care because I'm going to do what I'm going to do for me and mine. I'm going to take care of my household. I'm going to do what works for me. So it's just like, I just kind of feel like that's where I am. And honestly, I'm going to close with that. And I just kind of want you guys to just take that with you. Like, when you have people, like, in their opinions, like, people come online trying to debate. I don't care. It's your life. Like, you're grown. You can make your own decisions. Like, I feel like when it comes to content consumption, like, do what works for you. If it challenges you, if you like, engage in it. But if not, then like you genuinely don't have to engage. And I know it's not as simple, and I know it's okay to have, debate and to have questions about, certain information that we share. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with engagement. But I do think that we're kind of at this place in society where I just kind of feel like people really feel so, like headstrong about certain things, and it's like, live your life how you want to live it. Like, I don't care because I'm gonna live my life. You know what I mean? How I see fit. And if people see me and they have opinions or they're like, oh, girl X, Y, and Z, what then I'm more than happy to share how I got it or how I'm living it or what has worked for me. And that's kind of always been my thing. And if it's worked for me, I'm always willing to share because it's like, okay, hopefully it'll work for you. But it may not work for you, so do what works for you. So I think that's the thing I kind of want to close with because I think a lot of times, people I want to be like, oh, well, my cousin still smoking weed and, she owned her six-figure business. Okay, well, that's great for your cousin. Congratulations. Keep smoking your blunt. Do what you want to do. You know what I mean? You're grown. You make your own decisions. How do I end this thing? Okay, let's see. Is this the end of the live?